So we are here for the Monday, March 24th, 2025 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Kelly, would you please read the roll?
Kathy Octon.
Here.
Patrick Boyd.
Here.
Gene Hackbarth.
Here.
Alderperson Hansen.
Here.
Mark Reinhardt. Jane Schuler.
Here.
Mary Ann Schumerth.
Here.
Thank you, and Mark is excused. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the January 27th, 2025 Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We got a motion by Patrick, seconded by Gene, to approve the minutes from the January meeting. Any corrections or changes that anybody has for the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, a public hearing to act on a change to the local historic designation status from, quote, historic site to, quote, historic structure at 403 North Broadway Street. Kelly, would you please read the notice of public hearing?
The public hearing notice was published in the Press Times on March 14th, 2025.
Thank you. Recommendation from staff. Peter?
We would hold the public hearing first, but would you like
Okay.
me to give you a summary to go with that public hearing?
We can do the public hearing first. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So is there anyone out in the public who would like to speak on this agenda item? All right. Going twice. Anyone who would like to speak on this agenda item for the public hearing? And third and final time, anyone who would like to speak on this agenda item? Does not appear so. So Peter, recommendation from staff.
Thank you. The recommendation from staff will be approval of this request, but I'd like to give you a little bit of a summary because there are a number of moving parts to this project, some of which you will be involved in and some of them that you will not be involved in. There are 5 individual things that are going on right now with this project. First is a parcel combination at that site. There are 2 parcels that are actually owned by the Historical Society, and they are being combined into one. The second component is a site plan that has been submitted for staff review. There are a number of conditions that are in the works of being addressed between staff and the developers for that project. The third is a zoning map amendment that actually wrapped up with our city council just last week, and it became effective I believe on Friday when it was published in the newspaper, which takes that property from a PI1 district partially covered by a PDD overlay to being strictly a PI1 district. And then the fourth piece is a certificate of appropriateness. That is a topic that this group will address a little bit later tonight. And then the fifth piece is what we are talking about right now. That's that change for a local historic designation. So if you look up on the screen, you can see the map on the right half. It doesn't show up as clearly as I was hoping it would. There's a yellow outline around the existing property right now. That is how that property is designated for local status right now as a local site. Because of the fact that this building is proposed to be partially torn down and then relocated a little bit to the east, we suggested and worked with some folks from the De Pere Historical Society to have it changed to being a local historic building. And that's the area you see in red, that red polygon. So the proposal that is being supported by staff for recommendation is to change the status of that yellow line being a historic site to the red polygon, a historic building. Okay. And this is a local designation status, not a state or a federal designation.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Questions or comments? Peter, can you just kind of go over, if we do approve this, if they do want to make changes outside of that red square, what impact will this have?
The change that will occur is like we're aware that a little bit later tonight on our agenda, there is an application for a certificate of appropriateness. If this were approved as shown on the screen, if a certificate of appropriateness is filed, it only needs to be filed for projects that happen within that red polygon. If it doesn't change, if anything happens within that yellow boundary, a certificate of appropriateness would be needed. So we all are aware that there is a proposal for a brand new building to be built in this area. If the windows were being changed on that brand new building, those brand new windows would need a certificate of appropriateness. That's why we're identifying that the status should change from being a site to a building. Because that will place the focus of a certificate of appropriateness being only on that historic building.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yeah, I'm comfortable with this. I mean, I think the building is what is historically significant, not the land around it. In fact, this is not the original location White Pillars was originally built. It was moved there a couple decades later, but yeah, so I don't have any objections to it. Yeah, Gene?
I also think that it's important for us to consider the face of the building. In other words, the face that you see from Broadway. That becomes a significant element of why it is listed on the state national registers and as a local designation, local landmark.
All right. I would entertain a motion.
Gene, do you want that one or you want me to do it?
I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendation to change the local historic designation status from historic site to historic structure.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by myself, seconded by Patrick to approve the staff recommendation. So we will have a vote on this. If you do need to recuse yourself, don't vote, and then we can notate it for the record that you are recused. So, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And then who wanted to recuse themselves?
Jane, recuse.
Mary Ann.
Okay, so if you want to record that.
Abstain.
Abstain, yep, yep. All right. Item 4, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Please note that comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Historic Preservation Commission. Does anybody in the public want to say anything on something not on the agenda? Have Gene?
Okay. I'm not of the public on the commission. However, there are two things that I want to point out. Number one is the 417 Main Avenue project that Tom Gavick owns and did major restoration on it during the last, basically the last year and a half. That project is being submitted as an award for the Wisconsin Association of Historic Preservation Commissions. The meeting when the award will be presented will take place in April, late April. The second item that I wanted to just announce, I've been asked to serve on the Wisconsin Trust for Historic Preservation Board of Trustees, and I have agreed to that for the next 3 years.
Good. Congratulations, Gene. They're very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 5. Consideration and possible action for a certificate of appropriateness to permanently remove the west end and to relocate the east end of the White Pillars building at 403 North Broadway Street. Peter?
Thank you. This is a request for a certificate of appropriateness. Although we were just talking about changing the status of this site, that officially has not happened yet. It won't happen until council takes action on it later on. So we are viewing this entire site for the purpose of the certificate of appropriateness. The particular request is to take the area of the building that is identified in red on the graphic and actually remove that portion of the building and take the remainder of the building and shift it a little bit to the east, a little bit closer to Broadway Street, so that it centers within a new building that is being enveloped around it as a new structure for the new De Pere Historical Society Museum. I do have a couple of drawings on the following pages. Do keep in mind what is being reviewed here is the certificate of appropriateness over whether or not it is appropriate to do this to the existing historic building. We are not reviewing the site plan, and we are not reviewing anything about what the new building looks like. The intent here is to talk about whether or not removal of part of this building and relocation of part of this building is appropriate. On the next drawing, here you can see kind of the footprint of the existing building. On the screen, this part of the building actually shows up a little bit more in red on the left side. On the overheads, it's not showing up as well. That's the part to be removed. The part to the right of my cursor is the part of the building to be retained. You can see in the 4 photographs, that's photographing the part of the building that is proposed to be retained. Here is kind of a sample of a footprint of the proposed new building that is being built around it. You can see the remaining portion of the building sits right here on this part of the first floor of the building. To give you a little bit better of a perspective of the entire site, here's the boundary of the entire parcel. You can see the footprint of the new building. The historic building would sit inside in the middle of it. I know I went a little bit too far. So then within your documents that I submitted to you so that you can have reviewed it before the meeting, I did give you 2 pages of text for the Certificate of Appropriateness review. That actually comes from your ordinance. That's kind of a checklist that you can use to verify that what is being proposed here that we're looking at on the screen for removal and relocation falls within the criteria of this checklist. Staff does not make recommendations on this type of a request. It's completely up to the Historic Preservation Commission to make a decision as to whether or not this should be approved or denied or sent back to staff or otherwise.
Yep, so that's an important point. Staff will not be making a recommendation on this. It's up to the Historic Preservation Commission, so. All right, thank you, Peter. Yes, before we open up, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak on this? Otherwise, if we have questions, we can call them up, so. All right. So questions or comments on this? Yeah, Gene?
After reviewing the certificate of appropriateness and considering the changes that this action would bring about, I would approve the motion.
Mm-hmm. You want to make a motion then on that?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for White Pillars Museum.
I'll second that. So motion by Gene, seconded by myself to approve the certificate of appropriateness. I did have a few questions for the applicants, so if they don't mind coming up. Okay, I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All right, motion by me, seconded by Patrick to open the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are open. So if you just want to come up to that front area. And then just provide us with your name and address, please.
Pud Shoe, 535 Lyskane Court, Seymour.
Paul Melzer, 4469 Wyandotte Trail, Green Bay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so first question, and I think McKim might also be able to address this, just the rationale behind moving or removing the west half of the building and what, if any, historic significance that part of the building has.
Yeah, the western portion is newer. It was added on years past. So the portion of that building is in pretty rough shape. From my understanding, no historic value. And the whole intent is to try and salvage as much of the easterly portion.
And in terms of moving the easterly portion a little bit over, any concern about potential damage as part of that process?
But the intent is to dismantle, destruct, if you will, or deconstruct, salvage or repurpose and reuse and put it back together. So,
Gene?
Is there a basement underneath that front sector?
crawl space,
Crawl space, okay.
yeah, stone foundation, and
Okay,
yeah.
makes it easier.
All right, other questions for the applicants from anyone else on the commission? All right, well, thank you very much.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. Thank you.
I'd make a motion to go back to regular session.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Jane to go back to regular session. Any other discussion on this? All right, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And then
Abstain.
Jane and Mary Ann abstaining. So, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 6, consideration and possible action about the status of 5 projects that HPC members are working on in 2025. Projects include WAHPC award nomination, Public Education Program Number 1, Historic Property Designation, CLG Subgrant Facilitation, and Public Education Program Number 2. Peter, do you want to give an update on these?
The only update that we have is for the CLG Subgrant that is ongoing right now for 127 North Broadway Street. We didn't have a meeting in February where I would have updated you with the very same information. The contract has been established for the consultants who are working on that project right now. It's in full force being processed and should be done on time with the proposed schedule that we put in place in their contract. I last spoke with them probably about a month ago or so, and they had no questions for us at this time. Do want to make sure that I believe that Gene, you did have communications with property owners. Do keep up with those communications so that it's not a surprise to the owners when the consultants reach out for photographs and documentation of that site.
That's correct.
And that is all I have.
Okay.
There are no formal actions required this month.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, we did divide up responsibilities for these different projects. So for those who weren't at the last meeting, on page 24, that has kind of a summary. So I appreciate Mark, Mary Ann, and Patrick taking on the 2 education programs, and then Jean working on the WAHPC award and the CLG grant for the Old State Bank of De Pere, as we were just discussing. And then the targeting 3 residential and commercial properties for national, state, and or local designation will be myself, Kathy, and Jane. For education program number 1, does that group have any updates at this time?
Do not.
Do not, okay.
I read it. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I know last year one of the ideas, thank you. One of the ideas that was brought up was potentially getting out information on social media about the historic significance of various street names. So that is something that we could go back to as education program.
Yes.
And then Jean, do you have any update on the WAPAC that you want to share?
Yes. I've been working with Tom Gavick, the owner of new owner of 417 West Main. And with his additional help, I'm submitting to the Wisconsin Association of Historic Preservation Commissions an award nomination to have that property given special significance because, number one, it was built in the early 1900s. Maine was the home of a local photographer for the last 30 years, prior to being purchased and restored during 2024. The first level was a photo studio. The second level was used for storage. Tom Gavick bought the building in the summer of '23, began planning and design work that fall with a complete renovation from January to October '24 with the assistance of Legacy Architectures and Jennifer Lerke. The renovation included doing complete renovation from January to October. It included the complete renovation of original walls and then creating a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom loft on the second level. It is used currently as a bookstore and coffee, wine, and beer bar. The building now will serve as a guest loft for visitors to the area and a wonderful bookstore gathering spot for the community. So that is being submitted. The awards will be presented April 25th at the WAHPC State Conference.
Thank you very much, Gene. Yeah, they did a great job with that renovation and now home to Pages and Pours. I had a chance to go over there about a week ago and
You did a great job.
great job. So,
Wow.
yeah, very deserving. And then also in terms of the one that I'm assigned along with Jane and Kathy, the 3 properties, we have a list of properties that we've targeted over the last few years. So I can send that out to you guys and we can kind of discuss, which ones we might want to target. And then we can maybe, think of some that, haven't been, contacted within the last couple of years because, some of them have now been contacted 2 or 3 times. So might need to start casting a wider net. So, all right. Any other updates? All right. And then no action required, right, Peter? Okay. So we can move on then to item 7. Discussion about year 2024 revisions to the De Pere Home Improvement Loan Program to include owner-occupied homes with a historic district and a local historic designation as potentially eligible properties. Peter?
Sure. This is a discussion item more for your information. I know that in the short distance and long distance past, there has always been questions about what can we do for additional funding for homes in our historic district.
Right.
Just wanted to let you know that in the rewrite of the home improvement loan program, we did add language that does reference homes that are in historic districts and of certain values. And they're now being eligible for the home improvement loan. Just wanted to make you aware of that. I gave you a copy of that home improvement loan, so in case somebody did ask you about this program and their house being in a historic district, you have that information available.
Thank you.
Great.
This is a discussion item, so this is also an item that does not require action.
Yep. Anybody have any questions about this program? Gene?
When does this program actually get implemented?
This program is in effect now.
It is in effect now. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Peter, do you just want to briefly touch on some of the changes that were made recently to the program? I know you kind of laid out in the memo here, but we initially created the program a little over a year ago. It did not have too much interest, and so staff did recommend some changes recently.
I only know enough to be dangerous because I
Okay.
cannot facilitate this program. So at risk of embarrassing myself by not knowing the program well, I will have to say I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Yep. But yeah, so there were some changes made to try to make it more attractive to homeowners and, increase the kind of the limits in terms of, the value of the home and income and that, so. All right. Well, thank you for that, Peter. All right, item 8, open for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Go ahead.
Second?
Motion by Jean, seconded by Jane to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are adjourned.